Alright, so as you can see, I removed a couple other components, the alternator, my limiter strap bracket, all that stuff to make the intake install a little easy. Now, we are going to go ahead and start bolting this down. I already dropped it in place because it's not easy. Sometimes you got to shift it around. It's not always a direct drop. And I kind of got into it and started doing it, and then I just decided to start recording right now. So, all in all, we're not into this project for too much time, but I'm trying to get these bolts in here. You're not going to see me using a torque wrench because it's really hard to get a torque wrench in there without an extension, and as we all know, you get false readings with that. So my intakes are always kind of done by hand. Some people might call that silly, but that's the way I've been doing it for a long time and I never had issues. Now clearly our gasket issue here was not a torque situation. It was a gasket problem. So I'm going to go ahead, try to get in here with the socket to start these up. How's that? Nothing comes out of there anyway, but that'll make the leaders have to fall off. I'm doing my smaller 7/16 ones first because those are a big pain in the ass to get in there. Like I said, I use tether bolts in there. And I'm just kind of driving them in right now until they kind of bottom out. I got 2 on that side and the rest are all 9/16, but they're all the same thread. It's a 3/8/16 thread. It's starting to get a little warm. It was nicer earlier, but the sun is now starting to come in through my garage and warm it up. So I want to get this bolted up. And somewhat put back together, and then I can reward myself with lunch. I am actually pretty damn hungry right now. But I did end up using a little bit of RTV on the intake ports. I used a little bit of the high heat copper RTV. Just smeared it around the ports. I didn't do like a big bead. I just did a nice thin film on the gasket surfaces on both sides. Actually, I did it on the cylinder head and then on the intake. I laid my gasket in there with my beads already kind of ready to go on everything else. So this side's all snugged up. Snug this side up, and then we'll start working our way center out. Again, I'm not following any torque sequence right now because I'm just snugging them down into the surface. I don't know if you guys can see anything right there. And my stink bug buddy left. I don't get stink bugs at this time of the year. Pretty odd. So, alright. I'm going to use 7/16 French and 9/16 French, which I just had over here we go. So, into the opposing side, and I go in a crisscross pattern. And then we'll do this side since it's right next to it. We'll do the other side. And we're going to work our way back and forth here. Back over this one. That's good. That one is a bit loose. Then I'm going to do this one here. Okay. And this one here. Good. This back one here. Okay. I believe these are good. I just want to double check them before I move any onto the here we go. See this one? Started the back one, went to the other side. Alright. And then we'll do this back one. Okay. And we'll do this one. Okay. Alright, so then we'll start our way center out to check everything. Give them all one last snug evenly. After the gasket's been compressed evenly, obviously. So, okay. Alright. And that's that. And then I want to check what our RTV oozage situation is here. It looks like we got that looks good. Hopefully we don't have any oil leaks there. The back is definitely good. Got a lot of oozage there. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of give this a little smear. Alright. I make sure to not push out the RTV in there. I usually like to smear the back of it after it's oozed out a little bit, but you don't want to completely remove it because it'll leave an exposed edge. So I think we're good now. Just one last little check, at least on our big ones. We're good there. There. All right, we're good all around. So we can start putting on some of our things. First thing's going to be our bracket with our stud. This is the crowning jewel of hillbilly moments in my fucking life right here. This setup. A couple years ago, I had issues with getting. After I went to the Rob MC pump, I had issues with my alternator on the passenger side, so I moved everything to the right hand, driver's side I should say, and I had to make my own bracket for the alternator. So I have to use a series of spacers and all kinds of shit. So, but it works. Everybody questioned it on the forums and on pages on Facebook. And that should be good there. Now I need Now I need this and this. The bottom one, all this does is holds a torque strap, but I gotta use washers in there, otherwise it'll go through the stud. That limits engine movement while retaining our rubber mounts. That's always a popular debate. Solid mounts or rubber mounts. For me, I just kind of made my own. And then I still have to hook up my strap for our engine diaper. So I think I actually just used up one of my 3/8 16 nuts that I needed for that. So I'm going to go ahead and look for one. So should have gone through the other one, but you know what? Drawer de junk. That's not French, it's just drawer de junk. Oh, you motherfucker. Oh, my balls hurt. I've been smashing them into the grill. Put the alternator in with the belt in place because I can't stretch it out over the length. All right, and now we can put our bottom so I have to put that bottom bolt in, and unlike most GMs, my bolt for the bracket goes in through the back. Belt alignment looks good. So I'm going to go ahead, well first I should drive this in a little bit more. And yes, it's starting to get hot in here. Earlier I checked the thermometer, it was 70 right before I ran out to the hardware store. So it's starting to get pretty fucking toasty in here. Sorry, dog covers. This might quite possibly be my best Delta lamp yet. I think I put a washer somewhere else. It always changes. Some people are probably watching this and cringing because they're pretty soft to win in the face, but you know what? YOLO. Alright. So, it's pretty good. We'll find out when we toss it. Which does happen from time to time, but now we can tighten this one up. Now, doesn't that look like fun? So, grab our nut and washer for the alternator. I've done this way too fucking much, man. But that's the fun of it, man. You're gonna own fast cars, be prepared to do this a lot. Whether it be maintenance, things that go wrong. I still have things that are kind of pending, but belt is on, pretty good. Let's run our coolant temp. Just kind of ran through here to kind of hide it. nice. Tighten that up. Okay, that's good. Now we got to put on our water pump drive. Where's all this hardware from? I think I'm going to have extras. But again, I think I changed something in my configuration. It's not quite the same, so I think I am going to end up with extra hardware. Oh no, you know what? I know what that's for. My water pump drive, since I use a stud, I don't have bushings to sleeve it correctly, so I just use actually that alignment there looks pretty good. Since I don't use sleeves, I just use a nut and a bolt and I tighten it. And these little water pump drive motors don't move a whole ton, so they you really don't need both, like 2 studs for it. You can just use one. No, that even straight. And I find out once we tighten. A little bit more. My adjustment was not quite good. This belt looked crooked as fuck. There we go. Water pump drive is on. Now I'm going to route my wires, which I guess I should have pushed them through earlier. But we're good. See? GM weather packs, I love these. Put this little guy in there. And then, yeah, something definitely changed because my wire, for the power wire that I run, or the ground, is the ground? I gotta run this. Never mind. I fucking not speak. I spoke out of turn. That's what that makes for. See, I end up with extra hardware. I just forget things because I very impromptuly set up things sometimes, and it's very wild sometimes, and it confuses you when I put it back together. I know I should probably take pictures and better things and all that fun shit, but we don't need that. So I have one 3/8 16s nut, which is probably the one I went out and grabbed. So we really don't have extra hardware. Back in the pile it goes. Cool, so that's all set up. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and put our hoses on. Starting to fucking huff and puff over here. It is getting hot. I am sweating. The humidity lately has been off the fucking charts. Yesterday was just bad. Again, I live in an old house and circulation of air in that place only works sometimes. It's usually good in the in-between seasons. But for now, man, we're just going to stick it out. You gotta make sure you do all your connections through and check everything. So I'm checking right now the one on the water neck hose, the little hose that goes down to the water pump and that. It's still loose, so gotta do that. Okay. of finagling the clamps here. I just want to move up this little hose up a little bit. I'm going to have to move it up a little bit with my pry bar. Cool. Good. I just wanted to square it up in there. That's not my idea straight, so if something bugs me, I pursue it. You want peace of mind, you gotta question your work. Just enough to go back. It's like doing body work, man. You're never too good to use guide coat. You're never too good to go back and re-swipe your body work if something's off. Same concept here. If something's off, you don't like it. But this motor's going to come out eventually. For now, we're good. And that's tight on there. That's good. Okay. Coolant shit's all tightened up in there. Let's drop our distributor. So we knew we were facing the #1 mark at our base of our distributor, which is right here. Mouse moves there. Oh, no, that was definitely the way it needed to go. I always, when I feel that it's good, I always go back and check it again and move it over a tooth either up or down. And if it looks completely off from where I took it off, then I re-stab it back where it was. Essentially, it's an HEI, any distributor, you can put #1 anywhere. The distributor is not programmed. Before we forget, let's hook up our battery cable from the distributor to itself, and then hook up our pigtail for our tack and our battery. Oh, eBay is telling me I should buy something. You got 100 bananas. Sounds like I'm playing Donkey Kong. Sorry guys, I'm checking my phone here because even though we've been recording, my phone disconnected from its own Wi-Fi, but I can tell that we are recording because my time marker right there says 24 minutes. So our assembly, so you figure it took us about 20-something minutes to take everything out. I killed some time. Took me about 20 minutes to set up the gaskets and get it in, and you figure another 20 for assembly. I mean, we're moving fast here. We're getting very close. So now I'm just going to go ahead, stab my wires, which they are all clipped on the end with their proper tags. This is #3. Which one is this? That's #3. This is #5. Just follow the wire to its corresponding goose ankle tag, which is what I like to call it. That's what it reminds me of. Big thanks to my buddy Dave Meyer who set me up with those. Yeah, I've learned a lot from that guy. Really, really. He's like one of my best friends. And I say that because I got a lot of, well, not a lot of best friends. There's a couple of people in my life that I really love, like family. And Dave is one of those guys. And I got my buddy Ryan, who I was over yesterday working on his gasser. And, but Dave has taught me a lot. He did a lot of work on these cylinder heads. And it took a long time to get the car out and show how good his work is. Because I think out of all the stuff that he's done, at least for a street car, I think I have been the only one to do severe street strip duty, where this is a dual purpose car. He's done cylinder heads for street guys and race guys, but I think I like to be non-special. You know, I think I might be one of the guys that has really pushed it. And then for what we're doing, I think it's, I think we're doing good. You know, I have to question my work at every single step because I am not a professional doing this, and I have to learn to embrace that because I learned that fear. I am more cautious about what I do, and I pay a little bit more attention, and I take my time a little bit more. Put the pressure on, plug wires are in. Everything is in there. Let's throw our breathers back on. You stay back where you were. Okay. And we're not going to fire this thing up today. We're going to let everything set up, but we're going to get everything together. We'll fire it up tomorrow or something. So our distributor's in. It's kind of loose in there. It's snug. I got to tighten up the cap before I forget. I sometimes do stuff like that. I forget about it. And I'm trying to fire up the car. And it's like, what the fuck? We got one more back here, which if you got your distributor clocked the same way I do, it's tight to that relay and you ground it sometimes. Be careful about that. And I got brand new gaskets for the carburetor up here somewhere. Try to get them out. So we got one for our base plate. Straight. Okay. Put our super sucker intake in there. Or spacer, not intake. But now we put our gasket on. I should have grabbed a 4-hole, but that one should be fine. But again, I'm using what I got. That is literally what I have. Oh, you motherfucker, don't spit gas. Of course, I'm rocking the intake around and it wants to leak. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of quickly hook this up and we're going to have to go back and check it. Before fuel goes anywhere I don't want it, I'm going to dry up the intake where it's spilled. So that's pending. If I forget it, yell at me, guys. Grab our operator hardware. And we only have 2 washers on the car because of our throttle linkage acts like one big washer. So really hope this works out. I did have to fight the intake a little bit to get it on, and I hope that gasket didn't move to where I needed it. It couldn't go any further down, but it could slide up. And if it slides up, then we're going to have problems with our sealing surface up here. But we do have little strips of RTV popping out of the ports, so we should be good. I'm hopeful that this will all work. Um, you know, again, you know what, I'm going to back off these studs a little bit. I drove them in thinking that I pulled them out, but you know, I had them that way because I had them pull out so that I could screw the throttle bracket properly. And just a little bit of the stud being exposed. This thread's a little, wants to dig in a little bit more than it should. I don't like that. I should have another one around here. It's either this stud so I'm just going to pull off the stud altogether. Okay. Yeah, it's got a little flat spot in the thread there. We're going to put it on our vise carefully and not pinch any other threads. We're only going to bite it where we know we won't hurt the threads because we got like 2 inches of space here in there. So yeah, just that little rough spot there. Probably from when you slam the spacer in, hold it one of the threads just very lightly. Obviously I gotta put coolant in this, but I'm not gonna do that today. Okay. There we go. Exposing just a little bit of that stud. That's what I want. Should be able to do that. Same on this side. So this carburetor has been working good. Now, something that dawned upon me today is I may have to retune everything because I don't know if I had an intake manifold leak prior. I mean, I only had like a little sliver of intake sealing that, so I might have to retune it a little bit. So now I have to order an O2 bung so I can weld it in and put my AFR gauge back on. I haven't had it on since probably last September when we went to the BOP race, and the car ran really good there. I made carburetor changes, but maybe some of our tuning issues could have been that intake leak. Again, kind of a lot of back and forth here, but that is the name of the game, I guess, for us at least. We nothing about what we do here is easy. You know, you gotta kind of pay your dues, and this is just kind of one of the realities here. Okay, that's all tight. Hook up our, now I'm checking over here at my pile of parts at what I got. Obviously, everything gets stacked nice and neat next to each other. I need a new oil filler cap. This thing is worn out. Creates enough pressure to just push out a little bit of oil. Oldsmobile doesn't have that. It's not an Olds. Don't care what anybody else says. Not an Olds. So from here, I'm not going to put the air cleaner or anything back on. So obviously our cap is on, our wires are on, our fuel lines are done. That's on. Let me put on my linkage, put my springs back on the carburetor. Yes, I did say carburetor. So I have these set up. Oh, that's back here. That's why I have this. I actually have proper fob lights. Imagine that. Now we have come such a long way. People have known me for long enough, they know that that is a legit concern of everybody around me. Like, dude, you need to do things a little bit better. I think in my more formative years, I was a little bit rougher around the edges, and I've had some injuries, I've had some real life things happen, and I've wised up. So now, find a cotter pin here instead of a hairpin. I tell you, that hairpin was a track thing because I had to take the carburetor off to jet it at the track because I could not get the rear fuel bowl off because of the wrench. I couldn't put the wrench underneath it because of the way the base plate was. So instead, I just removed the whole carburetor of the track to rejet it, which is like completely ass backwards, but that is what I had to do. And we need to clearance a little bit back at the carburetor, but you know what? We know what we need to do, and it's not a big deal to remove the carburetor at the track. And that's folded in there pretty good. Cool. So we're back together. Our diaper strap's on. As you guys know, I run an engine diaper. That is not a poop joke. Actually, I'm still a quart low on oil. I forgot to buy 7 quarts. I'm used to buying 6 quarts for everything else. This has a deep sump oil tank. And when I check it, it's at the quart low mark. So we're going to go off the bed. Driving around the street, quart low isn't going to do anything, but on the big end of the track, that's not good. So, everything is good here. Put that last quart of oil in. Give everything one last visual. Our hoses are clamps, everything's on. I'm going to put the coolant back in there later before I go to start it. But for now, we're done. And that's it, man. So hopefully this is a platform that you guys like. This is the first time I've really done this in a long time. If you look back in my catalog of videos, there's one called Wrench Session when I was doing the body work and suspension and stuff on this, and it's pretty lengthy. But I think this was the perfect project for something like this, and if you guys like it, let me know, and we'll do it. So for now, we're out. Share, like, subscribe, please. Pretty please. Now, again, I'm not doing this for popularity, but I know there's a lot of people out there that work just like me in the garage. You know, you are also learning. I just happen to be a professional in the automotive field too, where some of that learning is a little bit, it comes natural to do problem solving because of my field. I do collision repair, so we constantly have to be on our toes about figuring things out. So my approach with this is the same as my problem solving at work. So I think that is one of the creative things about it. Even though I'm not a professional in the race engines and transmissions, I can kind of work my way through those things and approach it with the same mentality I would out in the shop, and usually we can figure things out. Not always. Sometimes we have to call in the troops. But for now, guys, I'm going to sign off. Enjoy your Memorial Day. I'm sweating. I'm hungry. I'm done. We'll fire this thing up tomorrow. We'll update you guys on that as well. So see you. For a short time, but it did fire up on the first pop. And then I set the timing and I reset the idle because clearly we had a vacuum leak, but Correct.